And welcome back to Capitol Tonight. At the end of session rush here in Albany, there were literally hundreds of bills passed. By now, most of them have either been signed or vetoed by the governor, some with fanfare, others quietly behind the scenes. But one piece of legislation that has yet to be put on the governor's desk is a bill that would change current guidelines for mail-order drugs. The bill has passed both the Senate and Assembly. If this bill is signed by the governor, it would prohibit insurance companies from requiring its customers to buy drugs through a mail-order pharmacy and give them the choice of going to either their local pharmacy to get a prescription drug filled. It seems pretty simple, but here is where it gets tricky. The Federal Trade Commission has weighed in, suggesting that this plan would lead to higher costs for consumers. But advocates say that's not the case for this bill. They think they could provide even cheaper prices at local pharmacies because in recent years the access to generic brand drugs has skyrocketed. My next guest has been fighting for this bill. He is Vinny Chiffy, a pharmacist from Utica. Vinny, thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So let's get right to it. The Business Council says that this is a bill that could actually increase prescription drug costs for consumers because it will increase insurance costs for insurers, especially employer-based insurance policies. So small businesses could really be impacted by this. What's your response to that?
There's no way by increasing your choice that it's going to increase costs. By always, as you increase choice, you decrease costs. The Business Council, I don't know where they got a lot of their information from. I think a lot of it was from the insurance companies. They are against this bill. They are really our only opposition. This bill actually came from consumers coming to the local stores, the independents, and asking us to do something on their behalf because of all the problems they had with their mail order prescriptions. And this isn't really an anti-mail order plan, it's an anti-mandatory mail order plan, which is a big difference. We still want them to have the choice to go mail order or their local pharmacy. That's the big difference. We just don't want them to be mandated to go to the mail.
Okay, but the Federal Trade Commission, which is not a lobby group like the way the Business Council is a lobby group, actually weighed in on this and wrote to a state senator, James Seward, who asked for an opinion, and the FTC sided with the Business Council, saying that while this is a plan that that has the best of intentions, could lead to higher prescription drug costs because it could lead consumers to going to pharmacies where these prescription drugs tend to be more expensive and not utilizing the mail order option that exists for some prescription drugs right now.
Right. Well, the mail order option, we're going to match, the local pharmacies are matching dollar for dollar the mail order option. So it would be no difference in cost to the consumer, no difference in cost to the employer or the insurance companies. As of right now, I have experience dealing with a mandatory mail order program. We have a school district in our area which they allowed us into their mail order program. We've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now, and it has no increase in cost to the school district, to the insurance, or to the consumer. We also do another one with UFCW, same exact thing. No increase in cost to UFCW union, no increase in cost to the insurance, no increase in cost to the consumer.
Now, it seems like... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vinny.
No, we actually save the school district money because we're a local plan, local option. When we signed this school district plan, this mandatory mail order plan, we weren't sure where our reimbursement rates were going to be. There's a big play in the game with reimbursement rates with PBMs. We weren't sure how we were going to get paid or what we were going to get paid. We just signed the contract for our customers. When we looked back at the contract after a year to see where our reimbursement rates were, actually we got reimbursed a lot more money with the mail order plan than we normally do at retail, and that's on the generic end. See, a lot of times with these brands, these PBMs with their brand drugs, they discount their brand drugs and they play with the generic pricing. And I mean, you're talking literally hundreds of thousands of dollars they make up on the generic end, and they think they're saving money, but when you compare both the brand and the generic together, they're not saving anything at all. They're actually paying more money in some cases, most cases from what I've seen on my end.
Okay, it seems if you've got an employer-based health insurance plan, as many people who are employed do these days, it seems like more and more they're encouraging you to go to the mail order option for prescription drugs, and in many cases, as this bill seems to have pointed out, is not an option. When did that trend start, where more people are being asked to go to the mail order option?
We saw it about 4 years ago. We had a lot of the local hospitals, a lot of bigger self-paying actually went first. People who pay themselves, instead of having an insurance company pay, they pay themselves, like school districts and hospitals and big employers. And that's where we saw where we can save them a lot more money by staying local because of the generic reimbursement rates. I mean, right now they're pushing mandatory mail order more because 83% of the drugs out there are generic now. And so the brand discounts aren't what they used to be. Even if they give a large brand discount, like I said, they're making up for it on the generic end 10 times over.
But isn't there a savings for a small business employer who maybe has 100 employees or so trying to provide health insurance, and they say, well, if we get our drugs through a mail order company, it's a lot cheaper than having somebody go to an independent pharmacy or even a chain pharmacy like CVS?
That's exactly what they'd like you to believe. That's what these contracts are out there for. We want to sign the exact same contract, dollar for dollar. We're not offered these contracts. We actually went to an insurance company and saying, listen, you guys have this mail order contract. Give us a chance. Give us an option. Give them an option with the same reimbursement rates, but they won't let us in. A lot of these PBMs own their own mail order houses, so that's a big incentive for them to send their prescriptions to their own mail order houses.
Now, back in June when the legislature was, as they usually do, were wrapping up their business in a very, timely fashion, trying to get everything done, this was something that kind of slid under the radar. Not a lot of people were talking about it as we were focusing on the property tax cap and same-sex marriage. But now it seems like there's a lot more attention being paid to this, through kind of a quiet lobbying campaign of people for and against this measure. What do you attribute to that? Obviously there's a lot of money at stake here if this bill is approved or vetoed by the governor.
Yes, there's a lot of money. I mean, I'm sure you know Medco and Express Scripts merger they're looking into. I mean, that's a $29 billion buyout merger. I mean, obviously they have to make up that $29 billion somewhere. It's all prescription drugs. I mean, for them to, those profits they have to be making money there, so that's big money there. I think a lot of it has to do with right now is, we passed the Assembly, this bill passed the Assembly 108 votes to 0. In the Senate, it was 60 to 2. The people, we had tens of thousands of signatures sent into all around the state for people want this bill to pass, especially if we're saying it's not going to change any money. The insurances, they keep saying it might raise premiums, it might do this, but there's no evidence against that. We're showing, from my point of view, we're showing them that there is no raise in costs. And if we're allowed to do the exact same costs, we may be able to save the local, your local businesses money.
Okay, and lastly, just, and this is a personal observation on my part, but it seems like more and more there are fewer independent pharmacies on street corners, either here in Albany or just on Main Street across New York and across this country. And more you see more CVS's and Duane Reade's and other chain pharmacies like that. What's happening to the independent pharmacist?
I think there's a little bit of a decrease, but we've actually started to see an increase before the mail order. A lot of the times the independents we're finding out are left out of contracts, and if you're left out of a contract, people just can't come to you. If we're allowed to sign as many contracts as we can, when we get a contract at my store, we sign everything that comes our way. And we've increased over the years. We've never gone down. And I think that's the main problem is we don't see the contracts that the chain sees sometimes, or we can't get in the contracts. If we could just sign these contracts, we would increase business, and I think you'd see more of them.
Okay, we'll have to leave it at that. Thanks very much for your time, Vinny.
All right, thank you.
Hey, that